Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we'll be talking about the spell Sickening Radiance.
It's just being in the sun too long.
Yeah, I've done that a few times. It's horrible.
Yeah, you got to wear sunscreen. It's very important.
Oh, I fell asleep on the beach.
Oof.
Yeah.
I'm sure you were exhausted by the experience. You look at that. Look at that segue. Oh my God, I'm a YouTube legend.
All right. So, well, having said that, what does Sickening Radiance do?
Okay, so Sickening Radiance is a 4th level evocation that's basically like taking the sci-fi nuclear fallout radiation concept of big green energy that kills people and giving it a spell slot. So you pick a spot within 120 feet of you. You get a 30-foot radius sphere, which is pretty large, centered on that point. When a creature moves into the spell for the first time on a turn or starts its turn there, so it has that mechanic when things enter it for the first time or are there when their turn starts, they make a con save or take 40% radiant damage. And should they fail to save, suffer a level of exhaustion, which is super neat. If they pass the save, I'm double checking, nothing happens. So they don't take any damage at all, which is,
no damage.
Odd, honestly. That's why I was like, am I reading this right? Is there really no damage on half save? Nope. Also, you glow green light while you're affected by it, which is, yeah, sure. I mean, you're glowing because you're irradiated. That makes sense, I guess.
Sure.
Or you had too many bananas, one of the two. Fun fact, if you eat too many bananas, and when I say too many bananas, I mean like in the tens of thousands of bananas, you start to glow. Well, yes, you'll die first. But if you don't die, there's some level of potassium or whatever. Maybe it's an urban legend. I don't know. The internet told me it. Anyway.
That's impossible to do. No one could do that.
Potassium banana experiment excluded. This is really nifty. I'm really glad Sickening Radiance exists. I don't know how good it is. I think it's probably pretty good. I'd put it as like an upper to mid tier option to try out. The thematics of it don't really fit most games that I want to be playing at. Like I'm not really one for the radiation poisoning, the sickening green light. Like I think it's a nice direction to take radiant damage from, other than just holy light avenging a god. It's now like doing, some other kind of radiation stuff, which is nifty. But outside of like personal preferences as thematics go, the words are all right here. Like this is what I would expect this is the persistent damage area I would expect a 4th level spell to be doing. And also on top of it meeting that bar, it also has a really neat effect with exhaustion. So like that's pretty cool.
All right, there are different levels of exhaustion, right?
There are 6 of them.
6, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And this, if they stay in long enough, this will take you through all the levels? Is that how it works? Or?
Definitely can.
Okay.
Whenever you gain a level of exhaustion, I'll just go through them all real quick, which that'll highlight a really also super neat part of this spell. So the first level gives disadvantage on all ability checks, which is notable whenever you have an area-based spell, because that means you can get grappled easier, which means you can have a speed of 0, which means you can't leave the area, which means you're likely taking this more, which is neat. So this spell's first level of exhaustion already will help you get the second level of exhaustion. I'm a fan.
Well, I mean, but if the person grappling you will also be sickening radianted, correct?
I mean, hypothetically, you're at that line, right, where you did the caster thing where the fighter's on right at the edge of the sickening radiance, not taking any of the damage, and the goblin is directly, well, not goblin, let's say the ogre is directly in the sickening radiance taking the radiant damage, and the grab fighter could be like, and just like hold them there like this from a distance with gloves on and hope for the best. I know. Depending on my mood as a DM, I'd be like, nah, you're definitely going into the sickening radiance the first time on your turn to grab him, so you should make the save. But I think there's still some neat, fun jankiness to be had there.
Sure.
That's just level 1 of exhaustion. Level 2, it halves their speed, which is super notable because whenever you're in an area, it becomes a lot harder to get out. And having a 60-foot diameter, if they can only go out backwards or into the meat grinder of your party, having their speed means they're going to need to take more than 1 turn to get out, because with a 15-foot speed, even dashing, you're going only half the distance. It can then lead to more effects. 3rd level, which is like, if we hit 3rd level of exhaustion, the creature's probably already dead. But if maybe you're against something with 600 hit points, and in which case it then gets disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws, which means every subsequent tick of this is more likely to occur. 4 halves your max HP. 5 reduces your speed to 0, and 6 kills you outright, which damage be damned, which is nifty. This is a spell where and the spell lasts 10 minutes. So like you can just, if you have someone locked in a room and you want to guarantee they die, just throw this in there and it will kill them. So will probably a flaming sphere, but like this will, regardless of their HP quantity, exhaust them to death, which is cool. I think that's a very neat effect.
Make a lot of really good saving throws.
10 minutes of really good saving throws. They need to not fail 6 saves over 10 minutes with 6 seconds being each save. I'm not looking at their odds too favorably. They'll roll enough ones, even with like a 19 plus con mod, that they will eventually fail these.
Yeah, that's I don't know, I like this one.
Yeah, me too.
Big area. You gotta, if you can. This is one of those things. If you've got different spells or feats or whatever where you can push people around, got a lot of room to play with here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This and the damage. What's the damage compared to the gold standard fireball?
Sure. So 4d10 damage versus 4d10 damage, right? Fireball's normally doing 8d6.
But over time.
Yes, this is affecting a quantity of more rounds. Fireball's front-loaded damage. So you could consider, if you're trying to do just damage per round, 2 fireballs almost universally is going to outdamage the spell, just because it's really hard to beat. Like, if you're, especially with upcast, it's really hard to beat the sheer quantity of damage you're putting out over 2 rounds, right? You're talking about 8d6, 9d6 damage, somewhere in that range, twice 17d6 damage. This is not catching that anytime soon. But if you're conserving spell slots, if you're looking to get the most out of your resources and you're genuinely stretching them and need to do more with less, these kinds of damage in area effect spells get you a lot more damage for the slot, albeit over multiple turns. This is even something where if you are going to conceivably also try and do as much damage as you possibly can, throwing down a Sickening Radiance, then fireball, this will eventually outdamage one instance of that fireball if things stay in the area. Now, like we already said with the exhaustion stuff, this spell actually help you keep things in the area. Your frontline characters can help you keep things in the area. Things like if you have a sentinel in your party, which is a feat that lets you like reduce things moving things and they try and escape you, you're gonna massacre some creatures. With the right party composition, even with just other supportive things like Thorn Whips, this spell can do a pretty good job locking down a space. And if you get 2 procs of this, it's way better than Fireball. 8d10 versus 9d6, I will take the 8d10 every single time. I don't have the calculator up on me at the moment, but it's a lot of damage. Like 2d10 is roughly 11 damage. That times 4 is 44 damage for a 4th level spell slot. That's great. That's above rate for Fireball if you can get 2 rounds of creatures within this. If you get 1 round, the exhaustion is something. It is also notable that they will remain exhausted until the spell ends, not when they leave the area. So they will just have disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls, even if they have 1 failed save. So like the best case scenario or the worst case scenario is 0 damage, nothing happens. But it has the really big upside of even with just 1 failed save, you're still pretty fine. Like you would want more out of it, but you also now have a giant area they have to avoid. You have other conditions around it that can make it more useful. You get something out of it that's fairly helpful still.
Well, I mean, like casting an area spell this big, you're going to have more than 1 target.
Yes.
Otherwise, you would be casting something different.
More than 1 target. Ideally, that take more than 1 round of this. But if you only get 1 round, it's not the end of the world.
But I'm saying, somebody, one of your targets or a few of your targets, hopefully, will fail their save.
Yes, that's generally speaking why area effect spells tend to be very good. They will always do something, namely because things tend in large quantities because how much of the system weights d20 rolls. Randomness is going to get you most of the way there. Even if things have like +8s, +9s to saves, some of them are going to roll 5s and under. A quarter of them are going to roll 5s and under, and that quarter is going to get affected by this, right? On average, it puts this in a really good spot because it's big area, because it's big effect, because it really punishes things that are in the space. It does make, again, there's some thinking about how your front line's going to interact with it. If they can just run back the other direction and wait this out, it's probably going to be about as good as a fireball, and it will give you some rounds to like pepper them with arrows and stuff. If they're with ranged, you have some neat considerations. The whole element of it, not like a lot of these kind of spells, like the cloud kill, it obscures the area. A lot of the effects that are big damage area of effect stuff create obscurity. This doesn't, and I think that's a kind of an upside to the spell because it gives you this neat little firing range, no man's land kind of thing. I don't know. I'm a big proponent of Sickening Radiance.
Yeah, me too. I like this one. I don't know. We got anything else to say about it? It's
I wish
yeah.
it wasn't green radiation damage, but you
It
know,
doesn't
that's just
have
me.
to be green. I mean, or does it specifically say that?
Emits a dim creatures that fail to save get a level of exhaustion and emit a dim green initial light in a 5-foot
all right.
radius. But you can work with your ammo or flip it however you want. I would probably, if I wanted to cast a spell, I'd ask if I can switch the damage to poison and have it be a big evil plague doctor, or not plague doctor, but necromancer or poisoner, or mustard gas like effects. I think that's more of the fantasy games that I want to play. Yeah. At the same time, I understand there are people that love this idea, love this conceptually, and that's great, and the effect is good. I would like to quickly note on Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition doesn't often have concise spells that do a lot of things, and because it's leveraging a relatively complex system for the edition, which is just the exhaustion mechanic, you can get a lot out of it. And I wish more spells did that. I wish I could be able to say, wow, I can read and understand what this does in less than 2 paragraphs. And I can also have a nice big list of complex things that it can do, and I can interact with the world in a bunch of different ways with this without it being, a full novel, because the rules support it. That's good. Wizards of the Coast, do more of this.
You heard it here, Wizards.
They listen, I'm sure.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. They're huge fans. All right, well, that was Sickening Radiance. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for. Sorry, I forgot the rating. 4 out of 5. Yeah, all right, I'll agree with that. Oh, I'm tempted to go 5, but I don't know. I'm not.
No one's like this game. This isn't breaking the game in half.
No, but it is really cool.
It is really
all right. Cool. 4 out of 5 it is. All right, that was Sickening Radiance. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. We will see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.